this video, we are going to talk about certificate-based authentication. A cert-based authentication typically means that you have a client and you want to authenticate your client based on their certificate. Let us try to understand this with a simple diagram, and then we'll jump on to the DataPower interface to see how this can be implemented in DataPower. So, net, in this scenario, you have a client. It can be any application. Then you have a server, typically DataPower in our context, and a secure communication between client and server is required. And it is TLS in our current scenario. So, the objective is that server should be able to identify the client based on the certificate shared by the client. Had it been a standard TLS scenario, we would have started with at least a pair of keys at server in, the private key and public key. You know that public key is typically encapsulated into a digital certificate. But that's one way TLS. Here, server also intends to validate the client based on client certificate. So in this scenario, you need to have one more pair of keys, and that's for client. Now, in this scenario, at the very first step of TLS, server is going to send its certificate to client, which client will validate. Then client will also send its certificate, which server will validate. If both these validations are successful, logically we'll proceed to the third step, and that is completing the handshake process. Once the handshake process is complete, the client and server establishes a secure channel over which they can share the data. So that's all about the cert-based authentication concept. Now let's jump on to the DataPower interface to see what we need to do there in order to implement this scenario. So here I am on the DataPower interface. We'll do the very first thing, and that is to generate two key pairs, one for DataPower appliance and another one for client. We'll download the keys for client so that it can be used with clients. Let's jump onto the crypto tools for this. So I'll quickly create. And the common name I'm going to give is server certificate. The file name is server cert. Or simply, oh, that's fine, server cert. And everything is on. The object name, I'm going to give server cert. It is generated. Now I'm going to generate client certificate. Client certificate. I'll give it a name. Client cert. And the object name, client cert. Good. So I have two certificates generated. If I want to see them and download them, I can go to the file management, and I can see them under the temporary folder. So you can see here is a client cert private key and self-signed. I'm supposed to download this. So I'm going to download this. Fine. Fine. There is no need to download the server certificate because DataPower is the server here, and the keys are already present on the DataPower server. So the first step is complete.